Let's talk about second chance romance stories. Do you love them or do you hate them? Because people seem to have a lot of feelings about this one. I'm Hannah Sandvig and I write and illustrate cozy fantasy romance stories, and I love second chance romance. It's one of my faves. So grab a cozy drink and let's talk about it while I redraw one of the illustrations from my own beloved second chance romance, cozy fantasy, Red Riding Hood retelling, The Wolfgate. Oh, and I don't usually tease you guys like this, but something happened on my hike today that was both adorable and terrifying. And I caught it on video. So you're gonna want to make sure you don't click away at the end of the video because I will show you, and I promise you, it is worth it. Okay, before we get into the whole second chance romance talk, I thought I'd tell you a little bit about my second go at illustrating this picture. It's something that I drew originally just for fun, just wanted to draw something of Gavin and Audrey while I was writing the book. And then when I planned to do a paperback back for the original version, I expanded it a bit and gave it a background. It was in black and white to go in the original paperback. But I kind of like the story. I feel like I felt the potential of it and I liked a lot about it, but it wasn't quite what I wanted, and I had kind of rushed it because I had to get the paperback out. So I decided to give it a little bit of a makeover for this new edition. I did a few things that you'll see as we're going along. The first is obviously that I gave it a whole new background. I did keep the Eiffel Tower that I had gotten from the first one because drawing the Eiffel Tower was stupid hard. I even traced it from a stock photo that I paid for, but it took a long time. Anyway, and I made just a few little adjustments to the figures as well. They were pretty good, but the anatomy was a little off on his legs to back ratio, and Audrey's face wasn't quite right. The profile just looked a little wonky, and her glasses weren't sitting quite how I wanted them to. And if you know anything about me, you know that I cannot leave well enough alone, which is the theme really of this entire rewrite and re-release of the book. So what you're going to see here is the drawing I started 5 years ago, and then a little bit of a jump into what I finished off just a couple of months ago. And it's interesting to me to see that I have grown both in my art and writing, not just in my ability to do the craft better, but also I think a bit in my patience about it, which I'm sure is a good topic for another day. Anyway, on to my thoughts about second chance romance. So, do you read in a variety of genres, or do you mostly stick to the same sort of books? Personally, I love most kinds of fantasy, sorry, grimdark, not you, and quite a few flavors of science fiction, but my most read genre, after cozy fantasy romance, is probably rom-coms or light contemporary romances with a lot of banter. This is probably why rom-com tropes keep finding their way into my fantasy books, even the ones that are way less common outside of contemporary romances. My two favorite tropes are fake dating and second chance romance. I won't get into fake dating today, but it was the inspiration for The Glass Gate, which is my Cinderella retelling, because we are focusing on The Wolfgate today, my beloved problem child of a second chance romance. The Rose Gate, my Beauty and the Beast retelling, was the first book I ever finished writing. Everybody told me that first books were only for practice. You didn't expect them to be any good, and they would just sit in a drawer somewhere and collect dust, and it was just a good experience. And then, you write a real book, or you write 10 first books and then write a real book. But where is the fun in writing a story that you're not going to share? So I decided to make it good. And it's not perfect, and I've gone over it twice since publishing it to tweak and re-edit it a little bit. But it's a great story, and I am so proud of it, and a lot of people have read and loved it. I wrote the main characters for The Glass Gate and The Frost Gate into that first book with the plan to make it a trilogy, but first I wanted to write a short little novella that I could use as a freebie for readers who signed up for my newsletter. I thought Red Riding Hood would be perfect as it wasn't a complicated story, and I already had wolves in the Rose Gate, so that would tie in nicely. But how to write a believable, compelling romance in such a short book? thought it would probably help if the characters already knew each other and had history together. So what could be more perfect than a second chance romance? Here's the thing about being someone who reads a lot and has read a lot their whole lives. We think we know how stories work. And to some extent, I did, but I really underestimated this one. You see, the reason I love a second chance romance is because you get two intersecting stories at the same time. My favorite versions all have a timeline in the present where you see the characters reconnect and work through their issues to find love with each other again. But they also have a timeline in the past where you see them fall in love for the first time and then you watch it fall apart. So there's this incredible tension because you want them to get together, like just kiss already, but you also want to know what happened in the first place to drive them apart. It's a mystery, and it gets revealed a little bit at a time in both timelines. It can also, interestingly, avoid the cliche of the third act breakup because they already broke up, but also are going to break up in the past timeline. I really hate a drawn-out third act breakup. So much that I've been known to quit reading a book before it happens. Sometimes I'll read it and I'll be like, they're so happy right now and it's going to go badly and there's no good reason and I just can't be bothered to finish. Okay, do you see my problem yet? I wanted to write a story that was shorter than average, so I picked a trope that requires, in my favorite versions anyway, 2 plot arcs. The past story and the present story. I did what I could with some flashbacks, but the truth of the matter was that it was too much plot for a novella, and I didn't have the skill as a newbie author to pull off the story I wanted to tell. But it was cute and fun, and I loved the characters with my whole heart. So I published the book, and then, I just tried not to think about it for a few years. Fast forward a couple years, when I was plotting out the Frostgate, and I realized how intertwined it was with the Wolfgate. I really wanted to rewrite Wolf before I wrote Frost, but I had 2 friends doing rewrites and both of them were in the trenches and regretting it. So I decided to leave it alone. It was fine, but I couldn't let it go. I wanted to give Audrey and Gavin the story that they deserved. I just loved them so much. I probably should have just written a new book. Rewriting the Wolfgate took me over a year in the end, which is about how long a new book would have taken, and nobody asked for this. But the story wouldn't leave me alone, so here we are, a couple days away from the release of the new edition. And friends, I love it so much. This is the story like I always wanted to tell it, but now I have the experience and the skill to do it properly. This new edition is more than double the length of the original story, with Gavin's point of view from when they meet and fall in love, added to Audrey's point of view from the original story of their adventures in Fairy together. It's not just added scenes, though. I've gone over every line to deepen the emotion, clear up continuity issues, and just bring more magic and joy to the story. I know that some people won't understand why I've spent over a year on an old story that many readers won't even pick up if they've already read the first version. But I hope that if you read it, that you'll fall in love with this story like I did, even if you've read it once before, because maybe even stories can have a second chance romance with readers who fall in love with them. Okay, I'm done being sappy. Almost. I thought I would just read you a quick scene from Gavin's point of view that I edited recently. So if you don't want spoilers, skip ahead to the end because you 100% want to watch the end of this video. I promise you. I am not going to disappoint you. But if you want a cute little scene of Audrey and Gavin falling in love for the first time, I'll read it out to you. Sure enough, a few minutes later, the forest opened up around us to reveal a cascade of white water falling down a cliff edged in moss. A light spray misted up where the water fell into the deep pool below. Beautiful, right? Audrey threw her hood back and closed her eyes, her glasses spotted with droplets as she smiled into the mist, arms outstretched. Beautiful, I agreed, feeling the sense of peace that I only ever felt around Audrey settle into my bones. Stop staring, she said without opening her eyes. You mentioned a treat? I pulled out the thermos of coffee and a container of cheesecake brownies from Nev, while Audrey dried her glasses on her t-shirt. Then she cajoled me into stripping off my shoes and socks with her so we could sit on a rock and dangle our bare feet into the cool water while we enjoyed our snack. Nev's brownies were, as always, gone too soon. "Come on, Gavin." Audrey set down the thermos cup we had been sharing. "We must wade in the stream." "Oh, must we?" I raised an eyebrow. "It's pretty cold." I could handle more extreme temperatures, but surely it wasn't comfortable for her. She was already rolling her jeans up to her knees, red hoodie sleeves shoved up her arms. "Don't be a wimp, Irish. The snow melt hasn't even started yet." Well, when she put it that way. I rolled up my own jeans and pulled my phone out to safely set it aside. But when I looked up again, Audrey was ankle-deep in the water, backlit by the sun streaming through the tall trees that shaded the natural pool. Even though I knew I'd never forget this one perfect moment, no matter what the future held for us, I couldn't resist taking a picture. "Stop stalling," she called. "You're not scared of a little cold water, are you?" I shook my head and stepped into the water, careful on the slick rocks as I waded out to catch up with Audrey, who was making her way closer to the waterfall, her legs calf-deep in the pool. Just as I stepped alongside her, she lost her balance and threw her arms around me, nearly taking us both over into the water. But I managed to keep my footing, pressing my feet into the rocks as I pulled her firmly against me. "Are you okay?" I kept her close as we wobbled and then steadied. She nodded, blue eyes wide. Could she feel how fast my heart was beating through her hand on my chest? My eyes flicked to her lips as she licked them. Not wanting to startle her, I raised my hand slowly and brushed a pink-tipped strand of hair off her face before cupping her cheek. Audrey's eyes fluttered closed, and I leaned closer until her lips were only a breath away. One moment, I could have sworn that I felt the faintest brush of her lips against mine, but in the next she pulled back, and we both teetered again when she stepped abruptly away from me. "I'm sorry, She didn't look at me, focusing on keeping her footing as she left me behind in the stream. "Don't be sorry," I said softly, glad she couldn't see the look on my face as I tried to manage the feelings crashing through me. Of course, I couldn't have her, not really. I had gotten too caught up in the moment, in her, like always. "I've never kissed anyone before is all." She kept her eyes down as she dried her feet off with her hoodie sleeve before rolling down her pant legs, damp in spots from her near tumble. "Kissing feels like it makes things real, serious, and I just don't know if I can handle serious right now. You have to go back to Ireland, and I have school in the fall." "Audrey." I had reached the bank while she stammered, and I bent over, tipping her chin up so she would look me in the eyes. "It's okay." "You're not upset with me?" The vulnerability in her eyes struck me in the chest. "Never," I promised. Sitting down next to her, I rolled my own pant legs down. "You're right," I sighed. "We don't know what will happen when the school year ends. I'd never want you to feel trapped," she whispered, and I closed my eyes against the pain in her voice, remembering what Nev had told me about Audrey's mother. If anyone knew what it was to be trapped, it was me. "That," I agreed, and we finished getting ready to go in silence. When my shoes were on, I stood up and pulled the backpack on before reaching down and helping Audrey to her feet. Keeping her hand, I leaned down until my mouth was next to her ear. "I'll never trap you, Audrey. I have no promises to give you about the future. I don't know what will happen 1 month or 2 from today. All I know with any certainty is that I love you." Her breath hitched, but I pressed on. "And I don't know everything about love. Maybe only one thing, and it's that I want you to have everything you're dreaming of." I gently kissed her cheek, allowing myself that one moment of weakness before pulling back and giving her hand a squeeze. I hoped with everything in me that my smile looked real when she dropped my hand to wipe her eyes with the cuff of her hoodie. "Come on, Red, let's get you home. Don't tell me you froze your feet after all that smack talk." It was practically bath water, she lied with a sniff, and I relaxed a little, happy she had allowed me to diffuse the moment. We fell back into our regular easy banter as we hiked back down to town. I fidgeted with the gold wolf key in my pocket, still full of nervous energy. What had I been thinking? Telling her I loved her? How was that any better than kissing her in the creek? She didn't want to be trapped, but she'd ensnared me already, and I had never been free to begin with. If you enjoyed that little bit of the story and you want to know more about the Wolf Gate, it is available in its brand new dual POV, full novel, more cozy vibes, generally better form than the original. as of May 29th in ebook form. And then this fall, the illustration that I just showed you is going to be part of the special editions that I am going to be doing on Kickstarter, which will be perfect because it is a very fall vibes book. So I'm excited to do all the rest of the fall art and make the most beautiful, pretty, cozy fantasy fall book you have ever seen. So please let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on Second Chance Romance. I know some people don't like the dual timeline aspect of it, which is my favorite part. So I'm curious, do you love it? Do you hate it? Debate. And if you're a creative human, are you like me, someone who occasionally needs to redo a project you have done before because you love it so much and it just didn't turn out the way you wanted the first time around? All the links are below, but do not click away yet because, as promised, I'm going to show you what happened on my hike today. Okay. I was out for my walk this morning in the absolute pouring rain when I almost stepped on a turkey. She was laying right on the path. She jumped up and screamed and ran away, and I jumped and I screamed, and then I saw that she had been laying on her babies. Look at them, they're completely unconcerned. Maybe they were having a nap, and then she came back. I'm sorry. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you in my next video, as long as this turkey doesn't hunt me down. Okay, thanks, bye.